Well, today we conclude that wonderful scene of the purification or the presentation in the temple with which St. Luke concludes his narrative about the birth of Jesus. And apologies to those of you, and I see a number of you who were here yesterday, because I was repeating quite a lot of what I said yesterday about the significance of that wonderful, of this wonderful feast. St. Luke, as I said, concludes his narrative by two occasions. First of all, on the 8th day, the circumcision, and now the 40th day. And the significance of that was that Jewish women were excluded from communal worship for 40 days after childbirth, according to the book of Leviticus. And we know, of course, that Mary needed no purification. She was the one who brought the Redeemer, the one who was to purify the whole of humanity, the whole of history from sin. But she and her husband Joseph, as good Jewish Christians, the first Jewish Christians, wanted to follow the law and complete it perfectly. So they did that. So that's the first event celebrated in the presentation. The second one is the redemption, and so the firstborn, every firstborn male had to be consecrated to the Lord, and for 5 shekels normally, and didn't have to be in the temple, they would offer the child, the male child, to the Lord, and then, having paid their due, take him back again, as it were, redeeming him, buying him back, literally is what it meant. In the case of Jesus, it was different in the sense that, yes, he came to the temple which was supposed to be the meeting place of heaven and earth. That is where right worship took place. Sin offerings were made. Ezekiel in chapter 10 had said, because of the sin of the people, the glory of the Lord had been removed from the temple. But here is Jesus, the light of the world to the pagans, and the glory of Israel returning to the temple. And when at the age of 12, he came and re-emphasized that this was his Father's house and he had come to do his Father's business. And as an adult, he cleansed the temple and prophesied that he replaced the temple. His body replaced the temple. So he was not bought back in that sense. No, his presentation remained. His whole life, from this infancy of 40 days, through his teenage years, through his adulthood, to his self-offering on the cross, was one complete act of self-offering, presentation to the Father. And so, whether as a babe of 40 days old, whether as a child of 12, whether as an adult cleansing the temple, and as an adult supremely self-offering himself on the cross, that same person is presenting himself on this altar in his self-offering to the Father in a moment. And insofar as we are united to him, we enter into the glory of heaven. And so, finally, we come to this wonderful woman, Anna, this widow of 84 years old. She was with God and for God day and night, a model of a devout woman and a model of hope, waiting for the coming back of the glory of the Lord, waiting for the liberation of Jerusalem and Israel. So let us unite ourselves once more with Jesus in his sacrifice, in his offering to the Father. And when he feeds us, we can be light to this world that is so dark.